This is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the mental health and personality factors that may be at work in the life and death of Steve Irwin. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video. I'm only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll look at the background of Steve Irwin and then move to the mental health and personality factors. Starting with the background, Steve Irwin was born on February 22, 1962 in Upper Ferntree Gully, Australia. This is near Melbourne. Both his parents were involved with wildlife. His father was an expert in amphibians and his mother would rehabilitate animals. In 1970, his family moved to Queensland and his parents started a reptile park. Irwin had contact with wild animals from a young age. He was given a python for his 6th birthday and started handling crocodiles at age 9. In 1991, he took over as the manager of that park. That same year, Irwin met a naturalist who was visiting from the United States. Her name was Terry Raines. The pair would get married in June of 1992. They had a daughter in 1998 and a son in 2003. In 1996, the television show The Crocodile Hunter debuted in Australia. The first episode included footage from the Irwins' honeymoon. They spent it trapping crocodiles. In 1997, the series was broadcast in over 130 countries. The show ran for 78 episodes until 2007. Irwin appeared in many different media productions in addition to The Crocodile Hunter. Just to name a few, he was on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, in various television commercials, various documentaries about wildlife. He had a cameo in Dr. Dolittle 2. In 2002, he appeared in The Wiggles and starred in a feature film titled The Crocodile Hunter Collision Course. It was poorly received. Irwin and his father discovered a new species of turtle in 1997. They were on a fishing trip when this happened. Irwin was active in martial arts and surfing. He enjoyed sports like rugby and cricket. In 2003, while shooting a documentary on sea lions, Irwin and his crew helped search for 2 divers that went missing. Both were located, but one had already died. During his life, he tried to promote wildlife conservation. He was honored by many organizations and countries. Irwin was concerned that the destruction of natural habitat would endanger various animal species. He described himself as a wildlife warrior who was on a mission to save these animals. Not everybody was a fan of Irwin. Some people thought his conservation efforts were misguided and unsophisticated. They also believed that he disturbed and harassed animals more than he helped them. Irwin was aware of the controversy. He believed the only way to save animals was to get up close and touch them. He believed the world needed to see that behavior in order to have an appreciation of wildlife. Irwin faced a few other controversies. In 2004, he fed a chicken to a 12.5-foot crocodile while holding his son Robert, who at the time was only 1 month old. Irwin said that he was sorry that it got to this, but he was not sorry about actually doing it, implying that people who were complaining were just too sensitive. He defended his actions by saying that he would be considered a bad parent if he didn't teach his children to be crocodile savvy because they live in crocodile territory. Interestingly, on another occasion, he said there was only 1 crocodile-related death in Australia each year. So it's not clear if he actually thought that crocodiles were a danger to the public or not. That doesn't seem to be an extremely high risk. He also believed that his level of experience kept his son and himself completely safe. His wife claimed that learning to swim was just as dangerous as what Irwin did, giving children all over the world a reason to fear swimming. Irwin said that he wouldn't do something like that again. The law in Australia was changed to ban children from crocodile enclosures, resulting in a rash of unemployed crocodile babysitters. It essentially eliminated the unpopular Crocodile Childcare Initiative. Irwin was filming in Australia's Great Barrier Reef when he approached a short-tail stingray. He was trying to get a shot of the stingray swimming away. The stingray propped up on its front and started stabbing Irwin repeatedly One of the barbs pierced his heart. Irwin's last words were, "I'm dying." He was correct. Steve Irwin died within minutes of sustaining that injury. He was 44 years old. Now moving to the mental health and personality factors. I'm not aware of any information regarding a mental health diagnosis in the case of Steve Irwin. Some people have suggested that he was out of touch with reality, but I think the evidence supports that he knew exactly what he was doing and understood the risks associated with that behavior. As far as his personality, it's hard to know what his tendencies were as a person as opposed to his persona. After all, he was, among other things, an entertainer. Based on what we see in various videos, here are my thoughts on a potential personality profile. We see high openness to experience. Irwin seemed creative, intellectually curious, and as far as wildlife anyway, appeared to experience emotions intensely. We see below average conscientiousness. He took a lot of chances. He was reckless and impulsive, but he had a good work ethic, so his level wasn't extremely low. With extroversion, he appeared to have a high level. He was gregarious, friendly, assertive, and excitement-seeking. As far as agreeableness, I think his level was mid-range. He didn't have a particularly high trust for people, and he was not modest, but he was altruistic and straightforward. With neuroticism, we see a low level. I have never seen any evidence of depression, anxiety, or fear as far as Steve Irwin, although there is some evidence that he was self-conscious. For example, when he was criticized because of that incident with his son and the crocodile, he implied that receiving that criticism was one of the most devastating moments of his life. Irwin's expression of risk-taking behavior was interesting. He took a tremendous number of risks. He was bitten many times and had a number of scars. He did not seem to be deterred by physical pain or fear. He said that the only animal he was afraid of was a parrot. Evidently, parrots bit him many times. Irwin implied that he had a special relationship with animals. He said that when he would grab an animal, karma would exude through his fingertips into the animal. They would feel a lot more comfortable with him, and they would refrain from biting him. He did not carry anti-venom. He believed his experience would keep him safe. I think looking at the special relationship belief is where people get the idea that he was disconnected from reality, but it seems more likely that this was a subclinical delusion, not a true delusion. At some point, he had just developed this belief that perhaps he was special in some way. Animals connected with him. They respected him. I don't know how he could have reconciled this with the number of times he was bitten and injured by animals. Irwin had a larger-than-life persona and maybe personality. He was attention-seeking. He was extremely enthusiastic and over-the-top. He had a number of catchphrases involving the word crikey. He tried to get people to become as excited as he was. Some people in Australia were not happy with the way Irwin represented his country. He acknowledged that they had a good point, but he would not change his routine. Irwin predicted that he would die young. He believed that he would be killed in a car accident. His wife believed that he would die as a result of falling out of a tree. So we see a lot of uplifting thoughts about the future. I find it interesting that this belief did not cause him to reevaluate his decisions. He was kind of fatalistic. He accepted that his behavior could bring an end to his life. Irwin died in an extremely unusual manner. There have only been between 17 and 30 incidents reported of people being killed by stingrays. This is total in recorded human history, so this is not an event that would be expected. It is thought that the stingray that killed him felt boxed in and was trying to defend itself. Irwin approached and antagonized dangerous animals all the time. Death or serious injury were likely at some point, but nobody would have guessed a stingray attack could lead to his demise. After Steve Irwin died, about 10 stingrays were found killed and mutilated. Authorities believe that this could have been revenge. The people who did this and Irwin really suffered from the same incorrect belief that somehow the animals were like people. They had motivation like people. Animals could hate or love and would adjust their behavior based on these feelings. The stingray killers thought the worst of these creatures. Irwin thought the best of them, but the root of both beliefs was assigning human characteristics to wildlife. So what do I think about Steve Irwin overall? Was he good for wildlife? I really thought about this for a while. I like Irwin's energy and enthusiasm. He always had a positive attitude. He was pro-social. But in the end, much of his behavior was foolish. I think that's why he was such a polarizing figure. Likeable, but didn't make good decisions. I think in the end, Irwin will be remembered as a positive figure by most, and I think this is a fine way to look at it. Yes, he did things that were not smart, but those behaviors don't necessarily define him as a person. Perhaps he was a bit misguided in the way he approached the difficulties with protecting endangered species, but he certainly opened up a dialogue on the topic. So those are my thoughts on Steve Irwin. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.